Yani 5-6 son görecek kadar izledim.
Oha, sen hepsini izlemişsin ki.
Çok son var ya bu oyunda.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Türkçe açsana, Türkçe
Stanley
dublajını
worked for a
açsana.
company
Bu niye böyle başladı ki? Dil Türkçe.
in a big building. Psst, Stanley, come over here. In the
İçeri gir, buraya gel, içeri gir diyordu.
Psst, Stanley.
Ama niye İngilizce?
Come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Sen yamayı doğru indir emin misin hocam?
Evet.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying.
Alt yazıları gösterdi açıkta.
The new ultra deluxe content turned out to be. Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Bende DLC var da.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories.
Ya DLC'ye mi girdin hocam?
experiences
DLC'ye
of my
girdiysen
life
DLC hiç
whenever I
dublaj
want.
yapmamış olabilirler.
Experiences like
Var
the
da o
launch of the
DLC
Stanley
dublaj.
Parable on PC. You see,
Bilmiyorum.
Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Bu ilk başladığı zaman. Don't play for 5 years. O başarım öyle mi oluyormuş? Bu arada buraları ben de bilmiyorum. Direkt buraya attı beni.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game.
bitirmişim galiba,
9
biliyor
out
musun?
of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Çok Half-Life havası aldım ya buradan.
Oh no. Oh God, no.
Öyle. Bunu
Stanley,
ilk
it's a
defa
collection
görüyorum
of
ben.
reviews from Steam, the online video
Bu
game
arada bayağı
distributor.
Half-Life burası.
I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being collecting down
Steam'deki
here.
yorumların
Surely these
toplandığı yer
reviews
diyor. O
would
yüzden
glow as
Half-Life
well,
havası var.
wouldn't they?
Steam'de deyince artık değil mi iyice?
Tavsiye edilmiyor.
Portal Gun falan
Honestly, I
çıkıyor.
could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Bu arada buraları ben de yeni görüyorum. Tavsiye ediliyor mu? Okunmuyor.
Okay, let's see what
Tavsiye
this
ediliyor ama
ediliyor.
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So, now you see, blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I
Tıklamam için
say
zorluyor şu
the
an.
story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is,
Ne
so
yapmak
on and
için
so
hocam?
forth, until inevitably
Konuşmayı geçmem
we
için
all
zorluyor
until
beni.
the end of time, at which time everything all at once.
Bence
so,
birazdan
now
sen
you
böyle
see,
kaparsın.
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture.
Şu an
It
döngüyü
went
aldı
on for
kendine.
nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there,
Aynı şeyleri mi
forward and back,
söylüyor bu ya?
and never
Evet.
a moment before lunchtime. It can't be.
Bilerek bekliyorum,
It's
bakalım ne
the
olacak
only
diye.
thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So
oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a
Bravo.
thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been
Bravo.
skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last
Bravo.
one was, well, I want to say
Basamıyorum.
maybe 30,
Ha, şimdi
45 minutes.
basabilirim.
Stanley, please
Bir daha.
don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my
Bir daha.
God, there's no way out of the room. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley,
Bir daha.
I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through.
Yine
I've
boş
had
yapıyor,
so
bas.
much time. I stopped keeping track after a year.
Bir yıldan
Have
sonra
you
saymayı
ever
bıraktım
sat
diyor.
down in one place and not move for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single...
Ama boş yaptım be dayı. Aha öldü.
Sonunda.
Sonunda diyorsun ama öldü herif. Birkaç yüzyıl geçti herhalde.
Bir daha bas.
Kapı gitmiş. Burada kapı vardı.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the...
Evet. Aa, saat yere düşmüş.
Saat önceki şeyde de
end
geri
is never
düşmüştü.
the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is...
Bu ne vuruşunu ya? Cidden bunu mu izliyorsun ya? Oynuyorsun ya.
Hocam bu DLC'ye gelene kadar oyun güzeldi.
Sıvazlamışlar ya. Kapat gitsin ya. Bu ne ya?
Merak ettim ama ben ne olacağını.
Hiçbir şey olacağı yok. Emin olabilirsin bu dakikadan sonra.
Bak. Kırıldı işte. Baksana oraya bir şey var mı?
Adamlar oyuncuların istediğini veren oyunları eleştirmiş. Güzel de olmuş. Beğendim. Tabii
Aa.
doğal hayat. Müzik de var. Ne oldu?
Bak yeni bir şey öğrendim.
Aha
Su
düğme de
Red
gitti.
Zone devrelerini bozuyormuş.
Evet.
Aa.
Söküp atıyorsun.
Hayda. İlerlesene abi, gidebiliyor musun?
Nereye?
Boşluğa. Yürü. Hadi gidelim. Git. Modellemiş olamazlar bu kadar. Bir yerde bir duvar çıkacak görünmez.
Bu Stanley burada ölür. Oyun da burada biter biliyor musun?
Bunu modellemek çok kolay bu arada. Bak, şunu modellemek çok kolay. Sonsuz dünya yapmak.
Aha.
Bir şey yok etrafta. Aa, bizim oyuna başladığımız yer.
Evet.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ne
Stanley
oldu?
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ana. Böyle bir
At
şey mi
first,
vardı oyunda?
Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration
Evet.
and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then
Neden
praised the
Türkçe
game for its insightful and
çalışmıyor
witty
şu an? Ona
commentary
takıldım ben.
into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to
Bu arada
drink it
dublaj
all
sesini
in?
ben beğeniyordum baya.
Okay,
Evet,
I'm
güzeldi.
over it now.
Biraz iyiydi
What do
ya.
you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like right now. You could have done it just... All of his co-workers were gone.
Az önce bitirdiğimiz
What could it
noktaya bir
mean?
atıf yapacak mı acaba?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ben de
Perhaps
onu
he had
merak
simply
ediyorum.
missed a memo.
New content, yeni içerik, DLC.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Tamam.
Sen bu adamın dediklerinin hepsini yapıp bitirdin mi oyunu Bilgin abi hiç?
Hepsini
Yet
dediklerini
there was not
yaptım.
a single person here either. Feeling a wave of
Yapmadım da oldu.
disbelief,
Yapıp
Stanley
yapmadım
decided to
oldu.
go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Dört blok.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was
Farklı bir şey
nothing
yapmaya
here.
çalışıyor.
No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. Coming to a staircase,
Ben şunu
Stanley
anlamadım.
walked
Diğersini ne
upstairs
anlatmak
to his
istemişler?
boss's office.
Oyun zaten mükemmeldi. DLC'ye gerek yoktu diye DLC yapanları gömmüşler. Oyuncular istediğini veren oyunları gömmüşler.
Ha aslında DLC'ye sallamışlar yani.
Zengin olmak bu bir suç mu? Suç işlemek zenginlik değil mi? Sadece birini seçmek nasıl bir hayat olurdu?
Ha, bunu
Evet.
ilk defa mı görüyorsun?
Evet, bunu ilk defa görüyorum. Daha önce buraya gelmemişim. Adam pandaya silah doğrultmuş. Burada niye bir asansör var Abuzer Bey?
Bilmiyorum.
Patronun odası yandaki odaydı. Oraya girmedik, şu an asansörde çıkıyorum. Bunu hatırlamıyorum ben.
Aynı yere geldik.
Evet, aynı yere geldik.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Hala olağan ilerliyor.
Olağan ilerliyor ama. Böyle mi olması gerekiyordu?
Hı hı.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him?
Galiba
This
olabilecek her
question
şeyi
would not
yaptım.
go unanswered for long.
Az önce DLC de bitti.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
DLC'ye gömüp
Facility.
DLC yapmak da ne bileyim yani.
DLC yaptıkları için gömmüşler zaten. Kendilerine de gömmüşler. Oyun zaten mükemmeldi. Ne halt etmeye yaptık diyor.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find
Ya
out?
oyuncular herhalde DLC istemiş. Bunlar da oyuncular istediğini vermiş işte.
Evet. Verdikleri için de hem kendilerini hem oyuncuları gömmüşler.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true
Al,
nature
gelse amık.
revealed.
yapmışlar
Each
gibi.
bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, Stanley. Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. Evet.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls
Ha,
labeled
bunu bir
with
türlü
emotions.
iptal edememiştim
Happy
ben.
or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. And when at last he found the source of the room's power,
Oyun daha önce bunu yapmamıza izin vermiyordu. Bu odaya girdiğimizde patlıyordu burası.
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Galiba DLC'yi bitirince bu sona gelebiliyorsun.
Was it over? Yes. He had
Aynen
won.
öyle.
He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to
Kurtuldu mu?
happen.
Ne oldu?
Evet.
Yok
And
kurtulmadı.
Stanley was happy.
Evet abi sonunda bitirdin galiba oyunu derken.
Evet. Bittiğinde zaten başa dönüyor.